Morning. Are you coming in then?
Good morning. I've got a smile on my face because we've got a cracking show for you today. We really have. We've got Suggs from Madness is here. Should be bouncing around like this. He'll be dropping by the house and taking into a plate of waffles, and as well as a classic coq au vin. My Spanish adventures will be taking me to Madrid, where I'll be exploring the capital's many culinary delights. Alicia Vasey will be back as well. Recently got engaged, the superstar Alicia Vasey, with more advice of how to get free food. You can forage for yourselves. And I'll be teaching you the ins and outs of cooking haddock and smoked haddock in this week's little masterclass. And that's not all, because I'm joined by two top chefs that I found just wandering down the road, who are both legendary figures of the food world. It's the brilliant Daniel Galmiche and Cyrus Todiwala. Wonderful to have you back, gentlemen. So you're cooking for us, of course. Cyrus, what are you going to be doing? What are you going to make?
So I am going to make a Indianized version of... Actually, it's an Anglo-Indian version of the shepherd's pie.
Right.
So we're going to do a mince with a few spices in it.
Okay.
And top it with a mash that's seasoned with chilies and cumin.
Okay.
And we're going to bake it in the oven.
Sounds pretty good. Are we going to go classically French for you? Or?
We are. But
Funny that, Daniel, isn't it?
funny enough, with it, well, the season of skate wing.
Skate is, I mean, skate
bang
is
on season.
Absolutely perfect.
This year,
isn't it?
perfect. And I'm going to do a twist on it. I'm going to be doing a batter with chili, garlic, and a little bit of fresh parsley, and just boiled potatoes with chili. Very simple, but...
So a little bit of spice with skate.
Chili is going Indian.
Well, exactly.
Well,
like,
maybe I thought because she's cooking something.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very
We'll
much.
give it a go. He's really from Watford, to be honest with you, Cyrus, but there we go. We're kicking things off today with a fondue recipe that I'm making with some amazing Gouda cheese that we've got a beautiful supplier down in Cornwall that I'm going to introduce you to in a minute. So, first of all, that kind of bit is the last bit, but the first bit is what we're going to serve with it, how we're going to do it. And the key to this one, really, is we're going to break this all up and then have this as sort of individual bits that are all brought together. So I'm going to take some bread over here, and I'm going to make these sort of bacon croutons to go with it. So think of this as this hot cheese fondue that I'm going to make with this amazing cheese. But then, rather than just take bread and do it, I'm going to take this bit of bread over here, and we're going to wrap the bread in pancetta. So you just take the slices of pancetta and wrap them all up like that, and then we're going to fry them and roast them off in the oven. So then you can just dump them all in, if that's all right.
Very healthy.
Well, of course it is, Cyrus.
Of course, yeah.
What do you mean? We're dish number one of this show. It's all, you know, I like to follow a theme in 2024, but where we left off in 1976. That's the one. But we take this and you just wrap it all up like that, and we're going to roast it all off and serve it with these amazing vegetables. Because I know you've got your eye on this beautiful cheese that's in front of us over here. So I shan't let you wait any longer, because I can see the gentleman over there just keeping your eye. You can't wait any longer to dive into this.
We can't wait any longer.
Exactly. So we'll introduce you to where this comes from. So this is go to Lanreth in Cornwall to speak to Jill Spearings from the Cornish Gouda Company. Jill, wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yes, great stuff. Yeah, thank you.
And what an amazing story this, first of all. So before I get the guys to dive into the cheese, tell us about the amazing story, particularly of you, your upbringing, your family and your parents. How did it all start, and how did you end up in Cornwall?
Yeah, so I'm originally from the Netherlands. My dad's been a farmer his entire life. He wanted to start milking cows. And in the Netherlands, when the quota system came in, it was just unaffordable to do. And the UK was only producing 50% of its own milk. So he decided to come to the UK and start farming. And came down here and absolutely loved it, and eventually was able to buy the farm here and start milking cows. I was 6 years old when we moved over. I've got a sister that was 7 and my brother was 8. And yeah, we came over here and started dairy farming. And then after after about 14 years of farming, the milk price was never very good. And they just couldn't afford to keep going. The farm wasn't viable anymore.
Your parents had it up for sale, though, didn't they, really?
Yeah, they had it up for sale, and just things weren't going really well. But, you know, my brother and sister were both at university. My parents really didn't want to stop farming, but it just wasn't viable to carry on going. I was at school at the time, and I just decided that, we were going to diversify the farm, try and add value. And my parents, they've made Gouda cheese before in the Netherlands. My grandma used to make it during the war. My cousin makes it in the Netherlands. So it's been part of our family. And I just decided that we were going to start making cheese.
And this was basically your parents had the farm. They were about to sell it. You and the kids came along and went, no, you're not going to do that. Not going to do that. We're going to diversify and make a cheese from your homeland in Cornwall.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a brave move.
Brave.
It's like a Frenchman coming over here and making
some Comté.
Exactly, Comté of it. It's a brave move, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, 17 is stupid, right? So
17 is stupid.
Thought it was a good idea and thought I'd give it a go. It's paid off. It's been really good. You know, kept the farm going, and you've got great pasture down there for one. That's that's the first thing you need, isn't it? Really, for great quality dairy. That's why Devon and Cornwall. That is the first thing.
You've got great pasture.
Yeah. So literally, So my brother's an agronomist, so he looks after the soil, the crops, the seeds, plants, and we are a 95% grass-fed diet to the cows. Wow. So it's all about the grass. That's where all the flavour is in. That's where the sugar's in. So that's where that sweetness comes from. And it's all about the grass. It's all about the the climate that we have down here. It's perfect for grass, for cows.
In terms of making it, do you make it exactly the same way as you do in the Netherlands? Is it exactly the same way, the same cattle, or do you have to use a different breed?
Yeah, no. So we've got Holstein Friesian cows. My parents took the pedigree on from the farmers who they bought the farm off, and kept that pedigree going. So it's our own pedigree herd, and it's very much a Holstein Friesian cow. So it's a Dutch breed. And then, yes, we use the same sort of techniques as the traditional Dutch farmers do. So obviously we're not like a big factory, but the proper farm cheese that you get in the Netherlands, that's what we stick to. That's the recipe we stick to. So it's all handmade.
The proof is in the pudding, because you kindly sent us a massive array of different style of Goudas that we've got over here.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off. Where would we start off in terms of tasting? You're the specialist on this. Where would I get the chefs to start off?
Start with the mild cheese. Start with the 3-month-old
Start with the mild one. Yeah.
That's definitely that's sort of like the base of all of our cheeses. That's what we're we start with that. You can really it's easier to get an old cheese right, but it's harder to get a young cheese right. But the flavour of like the grass, the seasonality that we have, it really comes through on the mild. It's just fantastic everyday cheese.
Yeah. So how are you making this? How does this differ for say a cheddar? How do you get that? How do you get the texture? How do you get the taste? How do you make this different?
So the main thing is that it's a wash curd cheese. So we basically we pasteurise the milk first. We then add cultures to make the milk sour. We then use rennet to trigger the calcium to hold the fat and protein together. And then we use knives to separate the wheys from the curds. And when most of our recipes kind of slap bang between making a brie and making a cheddar. So we cut the curd, we separate the wheys from the curds about halfway between what you would do if you were doing a brie or a cheddar. And we also take out moisture. So we wash the curd. And again, we take out about halfway between a cheddar and a brie of how much moisture to take out. So it's fantastic because it means that you can age the cheese on for a really long time. So you can mature the cheese on for up to like 3 years. But you can also get a real good depth of flavour as a mild cheese.
So they do a bit the same system than when they make Comté.
Yeah.
So they can mature it to all these years
like Comté,
up to 36 months.
Well, we're going to get to that as well, because we're going to jump from there, because you've got mature and extra mature over here as well. So so while these guys are tasting it, what have you got? What's happening behind you? So for anybody that's not familiar with this, you're in the aging room. What's happening behind you? Do you have to rotate this cheese every day? Is it every week or?
Yeah, so we so the cheeses that are right behind me, they are 10 months old. And they don't need turning quite as often. So because they're already a year old or 10 months old, they don't need as cleaning and turning as often. But basically, when the cheeses first come out the brine tanks, they then go onto the shelves. We then wax the cheeses, so we coat them. And then once they've finished being waxed, we then have to clean and turn them every fortnight. And we have to do that for quite a while. But then the older the cheese gets, the less we have to clean and turn them. So the mature ones behind me only get done once a month, really.
Because the mature one, it changed. You can see the salt crystals in the mature one. When I tasted this, it's kind of like an age, like a proper aged Parmesan.
That's it. It's the calcium lactate that you get in there, so you get a lovely, nice crunch to it. And it's much richer. You've still got that moisture content. So a lot of cheeses that age can be really dry and crumbly, whereas that cheese has still got a lot of moisture depth in there, but so rich, so full of flavour. So yeah, it's just that's the mature is, that's our award winner. That's
the cheese is not better than what your cousin makes in the Netherlands, is it?
You'd have to ask others. I can't say that.
But he's laughing at the same time. It's really, it is. And tell me about, because you started out doing this for restaurants and delis and hotels and that kind of stuff. But, in the pandemic, you then had to diversify, like many people as well.
Yeah.
And that led you to what you're doing now.
I think we were selling about 3 to 4 ton a month of cheese, going all to restaurants and delis and farm shops. And it was all being cut off the wheel, so whole wheels, and then people were cutting it themselves and using it themselves. And during COVID, that all went to nothing. It just went to zero. And we had to quickly develop an online website, like so many businesses. And as soon as we launched that, it just took off.
This is exactly the reason why we do this every week. It's because we set this all up in the pandemic, because to help suppliers out, they had no avenue to supply. And it's just, I think this is the key to it, though, really. People have embraced it and loved it ever since then, because these guys wouldn't have thought that this was produced down in Cornwall. How have the Cornish taken to this then? Because you've opened it up on the doorstep.
They love it. They love it. We started out with just supplying chefs. So, when I had my first cheeses, the very first place we took it to was a Pole Ruin WI group, and that's where I sold my first cheese.
That's the toughest crowd, trust me. That's it.
That's the toughest crowd. Once we had mastered them, once we got them, everyone else fell into place. But
easy after that. Easy
after that. Yeah, we had to then go to chefs. Chefs was the next biggest thing. So. Yeah, lots of chefs across Cornwall, and we were using lots of it. We're using the extra mature as like a Parmesan replacement, and yeah.
So on your mild and mature, what is the difference on months between the mild and the mature?
The mild is 3 months, and the mature that you got there is 10 months.
Yeah, I mean already a big difference, but the mature, the saltiness is already beautiful in it. Huh?
Yes,
I love the texture. It changes so much from a creamier to much nutty, salty, isn't it?
It changes massively, doesn't it?
Massive difference.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But for our viewers, a wheel that you make, how much does it shrink from starting to the mature stage?
Well, we lose from the mild to the mature. We probably lose around 1.5 kilos of weight of moisture. So the cheeses start off at about 12, 13 kilos. And they weigh about 11.5 by the time they get to the mature stage. And then they lose another kilo by the time they get to the extra mature.
Yeah.
So they lose a lot of moisture.
And it's interesting because at that stage, the colour look like the Comté or the Parmesan. The colour changed to orangey, which are really nice, and it gives you so much nuttiness.
It's interesting you're saying that. It's like the sort of I suppose it's like the distillery equivalent to the Angel Share. That when you leave it in the barrel, your drink is disappearing up into the angels. Yeah, exactly. The same thing. That's your profit going through the roof.
Yeah, literally.
literally through the roof.
But
it's legit. So,
go on.
The cheeses behind me, they're all 10 months old. They're all around 11 kilos. And each one of them has around 120 litres of milk in them, sort of thing. So. And then we have about 8,000 of these wheels, and each one of them, has 150 litres of 120.
Hold on, you just skipped that. 8,000 of these wheels. So there's more than just you and your family now. You've had to employ more, because just to turn this cheese over is one thing in itself.
Yeah, well, our shelves are still looking pretty empty, so we're struggling to actually get these shelves filled. At the moment, all of the milk goes into the cheese from the farm, so we sell almost none of it.
So does that mean then it is only your milk, or you have to buy milk outside your farm?
We only use our own milk, so we're very much at capacity because of that reason.
Okay, so that means you need to kind of not limit your production, but make sure then you can produce for all your cheese, actually.
So tell me what did the parents think? What did the parents think when you were doing this? First of all, did they think you're absolutely crazy, and what do they think now?
No, they were very supportive right from the start. They never wanted to stop farming. So it was more a case of the fact that the farm wasn't viable. It wasn't because they didn't love farming. So you know, they were very supportive, and they thought, you know, if we're going to lose it, we might as well carry on going a bit longer if there's a small chance that we'll succeed and keep going. So they were supported from day one. And, yeah, I think that's... I presume they're very proud and stuff. But,
well, it's
yeah.
Hopefully I'm going to do this justice, because I'm just going to get to finish off this now. So I've melted the cheese. So the cheese has gone in there with some full-fat creme fraiche. It's gone out there with some Riesling wine I put in there as well. I'm going to thicken this with a touch of corn flour. And then this is your nice little fondue that goes with it. So hopefully you can see on our board that we've got like a selection of... I've got some chorizo, I've got the bacon, bread, I've got the roasted potatoes in there, little baby potatoes that are pre-cooked that you just roast in the oven. And I'm just going to thicken this up. What do you think of it? Because you've got different flavoured ones as well.
I was going to ask why in Gouda, sorry, my French pronunciation, you put the O in orange instead of...
Oh, my fiance actually said that to me yesterday, and she's changed it. So now the O in Cornwall is going to be orange, so that it's Gouda in Cornwall.
So we got a limited edition version of it before they went on. Exactly, we'll keep that. Exactly. Well, I wish you all the very best of luck with it. Hopefully I've done it justice over here as well, but there you have it. My nice little bit of assortment with a Gouda... Well, fondue. And
no need to go to somewhere.
It's going to taste amazing, but there we have it. Easy as that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on then, guys. I'm not bringing it over to you.
Wow.
You're armed with one of these each.
I'm armed with it.
Fantastic.
What do you want? You're going to go for the bacon. Yeah, go on.
Allez.
Of course.
Bacon.
Has to be done.
Go on then. Go on, dunk it right in.
Right, look at that.
Look at that.
He's being greedy. He's falling off, yeah?
Oh, wow. You see,
sorry,
who's
sorry.
being greedy?
Nobody saw that.
No. I just want to hold it like that.
That's what you do around the table, you see, and that's why we all make a mistake.
Go on then, Cyrus. Go for it.
Go on.
Very good.
Come on. Stop troubling me. What's up, Mr. Galmish?
What's not to like? You've got something for everybody, there.
Gorgeous. Yeah. Nice cheese. Actually,
Beautiful.
I might have another bit.
Go on, have another.
Yeah.
Right, these two will be cooking for us a little bit later on in the show. They'll be joined in the kitchen by Madness star Suggs very shortly. Don't go anywhere, because after the break, we're taking in the sights of Spain's capital city on the latest leg of my food adventures.
No small
I'll see you in a bit.
James doesn't do
I'm
small
going to dunk
pieces.
a carrot.
Wow.
Welcome back. Now I'll be showing you how to cook haddock in this week's Diddle Masterclass, and music icon Suggs will be dropping by the kitchen very shortly. OK, it's time for more cooking now, so we're heading off to Spain on another one of my favourite food adventures, and this week I've made it to Madrid, and I'm soaking in the sights and the sounds and the flavours of one of the greatest cities in the world. Enjoy this one. My voyage of Spanish discovery continues, and I'm loving every minute of the journey. So welcome to central Spain. Now, I'm heading towards Madrid. This is a city I've never visited, and it's a place where, to be honest with you, driving is not a good idea. So I'm going to dump the car off, which is a good idea as well, because I need to get changed. Because the bit you don't see on camera, the unglamorous bit that you don't see on the camera, is I've just spilt my drink all over myself. And it's not a pretty sight. My next stop is going to be quite a milestone. From Castile and Leon, I've driven about 180 miles southeast to get to Spain's dazzling capital, Madrid, where the sun shines on average 300 days a year, and some say the locals are nicknamed cats because they like to party all night. This is quite a monumental moment on this trip, really, because right now, in the centre of this square, I'm now stood bang in the centre of Spain. Bang in the middle. It's quite cool, isn't it? Thought to be founded in the 9th century, it's one of the biggest cities in Europe. Now, most people who know me know that I don't really do cities. Whenever I go into a city, I always want an exit strategy to get out. But you can't help but be fascinated by the place. Every little street corner that you go to, and Madrid is just spectacular, the old and the new. And when I was in France, I visited a chicken museum. Here in Madrid, they've got ham museum. Brilliant. They're just as obsessed as I am about food here, and I'm ready to tuck in. Now, I've been told there are many things to try on my trip, but in Madrid, you have to try a calamari fried sandwich, apparently. This is Madrid's answer to a kebab shop, but they serve calamari in a bun, and people go mad for them. Just look at the queues. They're churning them out. Now, you're probably wondering why this became popular. And they said because of rail and the introduction of rail that it brought fish to Madrid in huge volumes. And that's where it's stayed ever since. And this has become the staple, the ultimate street food of Madrid. It's nothing fancy, to be honest with you. It's just squid in a bun. But the batter is made with a touch of flour, just flash fried in olive oil. Don't need anything else. No sauce, no lemon, nothing. This is really tasty, to be honest. Who knew? Madrid appears to be full of hidden gems. It's a sociable city too, and it's full of surprises. Now, this is definitely the coolest thing I've seen in Madrid. We have a guy that comes to my restaurant that sharpens the knives for the chefs about once a month. Never outside on a moped with a generator. Love it. Maybe I need to add a moped to the mobile kitchen. Like any city, there are countless restaurants here, and you can get pretty much anything you want. And I've been told about one that keeps things simple, but it's packed to the rafters day in and day out. Casa del Abuelo opened its doors in 1906, and it's been specialising in prawns since the 1940s. And they cook up 38 tons of these little fellas every year.
¿Qué es lo que va a tomar, señor? Una recetita de ají, ¿verdad?
Gracias.
Para ver qué quiere tomar.
Gracias.
Vermouth, birra, sangría.
Alio, and beer. And it attracts a lively crowd. Where are you from?
I'm from Belgium. I'm from Belgium.
Belgium.
Yes.
Are you famous?
So you have more frit in Belgium, no?
Famous?
Well, ish.
I think
Why
you're
you
famous.
have interview?
All around Spain.
Why?
Why?
Oh!
Va a aprovechar.
Gracias. So this place is all about characters, you see. But this is it. The famous gambas with garlic. Now, there are lots of places to eat this. I don't think there's any place as busy as this spot, though. It's delicious. They always serve it with bread that you can dunk it in afterwards. A nice cold beer. As you can see from this, it's a bit hot. Do you know what this is? What food should be about, though? Experiencing new things. It's my first time to Madrid. It's an amazing place, it really is. Madrid was really special. I do love Spain. It's spectacular. Right, Cyrus Todiwala will be cooking for us very shortly. And top forager, she's back, Alicia Vasey. She'll be dropping by the house very shortly. But I'll see you here after the break when I'll be serving up bacon and potato waffles for Madness legend Suggs. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, the very talented Daniel Galmiche is going to be cooking for us a little bit later, and forager Alicia Vasey will be dropping by the house very shortly. But first, it's an honour, and a true honour, and I mean that, to be here with a man who fronted one of the country's most iconic bands, and they've churned out hit after hit after hit over the last 4 decades. I remember because I've been listening to it for as long as that. It's the brilliant Suggs! Welcome to the house. Welcome to the house. Good to see you. We've never seen so many people in here, have there? People I don't even know as well. And all this for a fried breakfast and you. Because I was reading all your favourite sort of foods as well like that, and I thought, I've got to pick this one. I've got to do a fancy version of a fried... Well, it's not really a fancy. It's a fried breakfast with a waffle. That's all right?
A full English, yeah, I'm sorry, but that is still one of my favourite meals, yeah. I mean... Not every day of the week, but, you know.
But every now and then.
I'm seeing some interesting stuff going down here, James.
Well, we've got sausages, we've got sausages, mushrooms. It's the same thing, apart from the fact that we're going to do these bacon and potato waffles. So rather than hash browns, we're going to do waffles with it as well. And a little bit of flavoured butter. That's about it, really. But the sausages going in the pan. We've got the tomatoes on in here. I'm going to cook it with mushrooms and some nice little butter as well. So, first of all, where do we start? I'll tell you where we start. We start with what right now is... It's got to be massive congratulations because... Your album, this is the album, what, 13th album?
Yes, indeed.
This is actually lucky 13.
Lucky for some, yeah.
This is number one, your first number one album.
Yes, very strangely. I mean,
which deserves a round of applause, to be honest. Not just for 13 albums, but the first number one album.
All these strangers that followed me out of the pub are all applauding. That's nice. Yeah. But, yeah, no, we had to check ourselves on the internet, and it apparently is the first number one. We had a lot of number 2s and 3s and all that. But they were in the days of Blondie and the Pretenders and people that and ABBA and Michael Jackson were much bigger than us. So finally, we got a little bit of space. But it's funny, I was talking to you earlier without sort of dominating the whole conversation. You was talking about reading that we had market stalls in Camden Town when we were kids. And I must say, in fairness to BMG, our record company, we were determined to push this. Taylor Swift was right up our backside. Drake was coming round the corner. He said, we just need to flog a few more albums. Yeah. So they set us up a stall in Camden Town. And I'm standing there flogging albums thinking, now, this is life in full circle. Right? That's 40 years ago when we was flogging albums.
Well, I mean, Camden's... I mean, close to you as well, close to your heart, Camden, and the whole... Back then... We're talking back then, 40-odd years ago. The Cocoa Club's still around, there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't it called... Was it the Camden...
Well, it changed names a load of times, yeah. It was the Camden Palace, then the Music Machine. But when we were kids, there were probably 12 or 14 different venues that you could get gigs in those days. So you could go out and see a band every night. I mean, it was tremendous.
And there was bands like, you know, the Who, the Stones...
Everyone you could think of, yeah. I mean, a friend of mine had a meeting with, I think it was Liz Truss or something, when she was the head of... entertainment, and he went, where do you think these bands started? She had all the gold discs of, like, Coldplay and, you know, they all started in the pubs of Camden Town, like everybody did in those days.
Well, I remember Coldplay launched one of their albums, XY, I think they did it in Camden Town. It's this small, well, it's 1,500-seater, but iconic venue as well. But that whole ethos back then, your band, you weren't part of the original lineup, were you? There was three...
yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, there was a band called the North London Invaders, and I kind of knew them as friends. But the singer that they had wasn't very good, and they asked me... I'd never sung in my life before, but I was coming out of a cinema singing. I've been to see that film, American Graffiti, you know, and I was singing Rock Around the Clock or something. And they said, do you fancy trying out? And so I got the job as singer, much to the amazement of everyone, including me.
So what were you doing what were you doing for a living?
Well, funny enough, I was working in a butcher's at that time, of all the things.
Yeah.
But I knew that wasn't going to be a career. I mean, you know that apprenticeship business, which you know very well.
Yeah.
Butchers had a whole hierarchy, you know, the master butcher,
It takes ages to get there, all the way.
And I was right at the bottom. But then the band started to take off quite quickly, yeah.
Well, it does take off quite quickly because you were doing gigs and you know, not hand to mouth, but, you know, 11 quid a week and that kind of stuff. And then it suddenly... What was the catalyst that suddenly went boom?
Well, there were two things. One was that there was a kind of scene, the two-tone scene, which was a special selector, and we were kind of involved in that a little bit. We had a single that got to number 16 in the charts. And then Stiff Records, who had Ian Dury, Elvis Costello, a lot of the people that we liked at the time, signed us up. And our next couple of singles just hit the charts, really, in quick succession. The apocryphal story is that I suddenly got £30,000, and I was saying, I don't know what to do with £30,000, honestly. From £11 a week to £30,000. And I was trying to give some of it back, but I certainly wouldn't do that anymore.
But
Thank you. Thank you very much.
But going back before the band and everything else, your childhood, your mum,
yeah,
she was huge. You were a singer.
Yeah, yeah.
That's obviously where you got your inspiration.
Well, I had no intention to be a singer, but yeah, she was a jazz singer around the clubs of Soho. But like a lot of my friends who had parents who were musicians or singers, it was all terribly embarrassing because you go in the pub and if there was a piano, you think, oh no, here we go. We're not getting out of here for about 6 hours. But she was a very good singer. Yeah, she never really made it in any great consequence. But I suppose it must have rubbed off in some way when you look at the history of what happened to me.
But I'm going just after your childhood as well because that was a. You didn't have the easiest of childhoods. Let's be fair. And then you had to graft for everything. And I think that's the same thing with your band, really, because you've done the groundwork, and that was notoriously tough. Because a lot of things, music industry is different as we know now. I mean, you've seen it over decades. It's
yeah,
very
no,
different
for sure. I mean. You know, I got thrown out of the band briefly because I wasn't taking it seriously enough. I was going to the football on Saturdays when that was the main day of rehearsal. And then eventually one of the bands saw me on Match of the Day like that. And I've been talking about going to my auntie's funeral for the 4th week running. And I obviously was not. So I got thrown out of the band. And then I remember going to see him at a school in Camden and all the girls were down at the front, like a scene from American Graffiti. And I thought, I should be up there, not down here. And that really was the turning point. And I thought, no, you're right, now to start taking things seriously. Yeah, and so we started rehearsing 4 or 5 times a week. And we started to make progress, yeah. I mean, everybody was talking about having a band. You know, everyone had a bloke and saxophone or a guitar and they're all going about with their, you know, berets and, books in their pocket, you know.
But your image as well, your image was unique for that sort of time as well.
Yeah, well, we kind of... You know, you kind of had punk, which was a lot of energy, but that was all sort of about tearing your clothes up and looking like you just come out of a hedge. And we just got into suits that you could get from second-hand shops in Camden Town and created our own kind of little scene. And then the Specials came along, who were doing something very similar, which was that ska and reggae stuff, which was how we started.
So we've got to talk about this album now, because this is album number 13. Tell us about this, because this has been, what, 7 years?
Yes.
And you were actually going to, in the middle of sort of the pandemic, you were actually going to split up, you know.
Yeah. I mean, like everybody, we were having a very hard time, you know, emotionally and, you know, spiritually, politically. And then we started talking, and then it's always the same. When we get in a room together, making music is always the greatest healer. And you realise, you know, there's more that keeps us together than divides us, really, even though we want to kill each other most of the time.
But isn't that's the same with successful bands like yourselves? Because you look at Fleetwood Mac, you've got to have that...
adultery and, you know...
So do you have people in the band, do you have, right, you're going to do the lyrics of this and you're going to do this? I guess there's not that. You all just... It seems to me like you all just meet up in a room and stuff happens. Is that right?
Well, everybody writes, which is unusual. I mean, you know, our keyboard player Mike said he felt sorry for the Beatles and the Stones because there's only 2 writers. There were 6 of us, but not quite as good as them 2. But no, everybody writes and in different measures. Sometimes someone will have words, someone will have a tune, But I remember when we started rehearsing this album, thinking, God, blimey, are you sure this is any good? But bit by bit, it evolves, and everyone adds their parts, and given the players that we have, our saxophone player, Lee, Mike, we've got very individual players, and it starts to sound like madness eventually.
It does start to sound like madness, because even after 40 years, you're about to witness this. Just have a listen to this.
praise him. God's gift, and no one wants to know him. She'll sing a lullaby and life will show him. The sun comes up and the sun goes down. The wheels come off and the deals go down. The news comes out and a star is found. We play the game and go round and round.
Never lost it, never in any doubt, was it really? So, look, we just got in here. That's brilliant. You're going to stick around for the rest of the morning. We're going to talk more about the tour, which we're going to touch on a little bit later as well, because you're out back on the road.
Yes, so just never stops, you know. I mean, our saxophone players keep saying, when can we retire? But people keep buying the tickets. So not complaining at all. No, the live stuff. We've got a load of festivals coming up this summer, yeah, which maybe we...
Because you notoriously turned around when you were younger and turned around and said, I'm not playing those... do you remember that?
We're not playing the big venues.
Yeah, you're not playing the big venues. You're not playing that sort of music again. Once we've done that hit, we're not playing it again.
No, that's right.
You must think, yeah...
Well, no, that's right. I remember when I was 20-odd saying, there's no way I'll still be playing that Baggy Trousers when I'm an old man of 30. Anyway, those days are long gone, as we all know. That's looking good, James, mate. Yeah, it's the timing, innit, on a fry-up.
Well, there we go. We're nearly there with our fry-up. We've got this... I've got my little bit of maple butter that I've got in here, fried egg, and we just take our maple butter, pour that in there.
So you're getting into music now, I'm led to believe.
I'm not by any way...
Well, I saw the 400 guitars in your man cave, so you're obviously doing something, mate.
Well, I make a noise. That's what I like. But I like doing it, and yeah. I get a sort of... a buzz like you get. I mean, you just get.
Well, music always does, yeah, regardless of what level you're at, you know. Yeah,
and do you know what? When I knew you were coming on, I was trying to remember. I remember me and my mates sort of banging into each other and everybody else in the pub when your music came on. And now you're at my house, and now I'm cooking a fry-up. How surreal is life? And there you have it, a fry-up for Suggs, nice and easy, with a nice little potato and bacon waffle. Done. Yeah. Easy as that. Right, there we have it.
Thank you very much, mate.
Not a bad starter, is it, really?
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
it's the waffle I'm really intrigued by, yes.
It's just...
Not just a load of old waffle, you know.
Yeah.
Mmm. Love it. And that's maple butter, yeah.
Maple butter with the bacon.
Mmm. American style, isn't it? A pancake waffly business, yeah, lovely.
You can't beat a fried breakfast, though.
You can't. You can't.
Can I just say, I've been doing this show, but... as long as you've been making music. I think that's the first breakfast I've ever made on national TV.
Well, you know you've ruined today's show because everyone out there is just running out the door round to the local shop to get some extra bacon. You know that, mate.
That's a point as well, yeah, exactly. Right, there we go. I'll be making a classic coq au vin for Suggs later on in the show. We've got more classic French cooking on the way from Daniel Galmiche. That's coming up very shortly. But join us again after the break when we've got Indian cooking on the menu with Cyrus Toddywaller. He'll be giving the humble shepherd's pie an Indian makeover. I'll see you after the break. These are amazing. Welcome back. Now, still to come, I'll be teaching you everything you ever want to know about cooking haddock in this week's Little Masterclass. And Alicia Vasey will be here with more food you can go out and forage for yourselves very shortly. But first, I'm here with the Frenchman Daniel Galmiche, and we're about to put his tolerance to spice to the ultimate test. You're not a great lover of spice, are you?
Not too much, no, because it's not a French thing to eat.
Well, this man is the master at it. It's the godfather of Indian spice and Indian cookery. It's Cyrus Toddywaller. Great to have you back, Chief. Now, this recipe is amazing. It is amazing. This is a shepherd's pie with a difference.
Yes.
OK.
Yeah, it's in my new book, Mr. Toddywaller's Bombay.
Yeah.
And it's a simplified version of amongst the many things that we would normally add.
Yeah.
But it goes very well. It does well.
So it's classic shepherd's pie with lamb mince, but instead of using stock, you're using tomato, and then you've still got the spice at its base. The mashed potato you want me to do separate, so...
Yes, sir. The mashed potato should have green chili in it.
Right.
A bit of fresh coriander.
Yeah.
And, of course, crushed cumin. The rest is easy, the cream, the butter.
So do you warm the potatoes up with the same things?
Yeah, so what we would do normally, we'd beat some egg into the cream and then blend it into the potato.
Okay.
And put the very finely chopped
that's
coriander.
What I'm going to do then.
Yep.
So you mix the egg into the potato. Egg yolk or whole egg?
Well, whole egg into the cream. In India, we don't waste things, no?
Okay, fair enough. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. In there.
Even richer.
Yeah.
Great.
Egg and butter and all that kind of stuff. Sounds pretty good. So it starts off with this in the well. So tell everybody about your restaurant then, because your restaurant is now near City Airport.
Very near, behind City Airport in a sense. We back the landing strip.
Yeah.
But we are across from the XL. And just within, minutes actually from the XL. So from the restaurant, what you see is Canary Wharf. And it's not far really. It's only about 10, 15 minutes from...
That's
you know this, right?
Yeah, I'm on control.
Because I've had a bad experience with that before.
I'll pilot the plane for you, all right? So,
I do exactly the same, actually. I always ask which one is which one.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's super hot, that's why, isn't it?
Well, that's it, yeah.
That's the key to it. So plenty of onions in this, first of all. This is what I love about Indian cookery. Onions. Do you still have... I remember visiting your kitchen. You still have one person just chopping onions the entire...
Well, in the past, we used to use 200 kilos a week, you know?
Wow.
So it's a lot of onions.
It's a lot of onions.
We still need a lot of onions.
Yeah.
It's the base of a lot of dishes in Indian cooking.
Because we don't have, we don't use, see, like I said, this one's a beast. That heats up like a... Yeah, I've turned it down a bit.
Turn that down a little bit. So you've got... This is shepherd's pie, and you've got cinnamon.
I've got cinnamon inside.
Yeah.
Of course, we would... Mostly in India, they would use cassia bark.
Okay.
But cinnamon. So just with the pan is too... Just a little fry a bit.
This is very unusual, I mean, to put cinnamon in a...
In shepherd's pie.
In shepherd's
chili.
pie.
Red chili.
Where does this affliction to chili come from? Is this wasn't from India?
All getting it, including the seeds. I say, oh la la. Yes.
Where did this come from then? Where was the sort of the chili affliction from? Where was that from as well?
Well, because my time when I lived in Singapore,
right.
That's why I discovered a little bit of more spicy food. The one I couldn't take was the one from Malaysia. I mean, I love laksa, but it's impossible for me to eat because I love Thai food, but it's very different in a country. When you eat Thai food in a country with the heat and everything and the way they do fresh and fragrant and really crunchy.
The key to it is don't make mashed potato while you've bent over a pan that's got chili in it, because that's really...
Oh, my God, yes.
Go to the... But you got long arms, James. You can manage it.
Yeah, exactly.
Lucky for
I would not be able to manage that.
Yeah.
So is this based on something that you sort of made up in India, or is this just a...
So this is quite historical, actually, in a sense. So if you were in India 200 years plus ago, and the men in the army, or the officers in the army, were very much attuned to having non-spicy, rather blandish British food.
Yeah.
And when they went in the evening to the gymkhanas or clubs after work, the Indian chefs would try very hard to convince them to eat Indian food. When that did not happen, what they started to do was take British classics and convert them or change them a little bit.
You need to stop
and Indianize a bit.
I'm going to put the whole thing...
That's how some of these classic things... if you remember, we made the other country captain once with the whole shoulder of lamb.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
Yes, and we served... I mean, it was the first lunch for Her Majesty's Diamond Jubilee, and we had made that up. So now, another thing is that when people add mince to a pan, they normally, if you're making a bolognese or whatever, you normally end up making lumps with the mince. By adding a bit of water, I cool my pan down a bit, and then I don't get lumps, okay? So you break it down more easily because the pan has cooled down. The heat will pick up again.
Now, I've learned a new way of doing mash with this, because this is chili, coriander. What is this?
Crushed cumin.
Crushed cumin.
Crushed cumin.
In here, salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper. No. Of course, good old butter and this, and the taste is amazing.
It's a taste absolutely delicious, to be honest with you. So, in we go with tin tomatoes?
tin tomatoes best, saves
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And they're just as good. And actually,
The quality is always
you
good.
get better because you get it straight out of Italy and
Yeah.
get some amazing flavor in the tin
And I
tomato.
take it this year you're going to be doing, for anybody who wants to see you out and about, you're going to be doing festivals and demonstrations all over the place.
All over the place, as usual.
As usual. Are you still doing the pub in the park thing? You still doing all that?
We are, but this year, because it's much reduced,
Yeah.
we are doing pub in the park, and I don't know if we'll be able to go through with it because suddenly, on one of the days when we are doing an event, our nephew decides to get married.
Oh, well, that becomes the priority.
That
Definitely.
becomes the priority.
Family first.
So you want the coriander in at the
Yes,
end?
sir. In there.
Now,
Thank you.
okay. That goes in. So how long do you cook this for once you get to that stage?
Well, we just need the thickness now. The mince cooks very quickly, as you know.
Yeah.
You can even eat it raw, so... But just a few minutes. till
And we've
we
got
get-
one that we've done over here. So if I take that to one side... and that's
Yeah, they put
that
it
one
down
done.
right low, let it cook. Because
Your
let me
mashed
just
potato
put some seasoning in there.
is now ready.
Yes, sir.
So I'll let you top it with the mashed potato. But that's just to recap, that's got your potatoes, it's got some eggs, it's got some cream, got butter, salt and pepper, the crushed cumin, and it's
Yep.
got some coriander and some chili, green
And it's
chili.
looking amazing.
It is absolutely
Yeah,
delicious.
bags of flavour in here.
There's tons of, yeah.
I said there's bags of flavour in both.
That's what you want, isn't it?
Of course. No, absolutely. But it's a different way of doing it, which is very
yeah,
interesting.
exactly.
You know. And that's why it's good with the classic. You can alter and mix
Absolutely.
different things with it to give it another dimension. I think it's great.
And then hot oven for
Hot
what?
oven.
20, 30 minutes?
20, 30 minutes.
20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And we have
Lovely.
one. If I bring this out, happy with that? I'll put that one in.
Yes, sir.
We've got some plate. We've got a plate at the back so you can serve it on. And I'll bring this out, and you can see this. This looks amazing. Look at this.
Wow, look at that.
Aha.
Look at that.
I mean, do I have
Oh,
to
good.
brace
Oh,
myself
yeah.
because of the spices?
The flavor, the smell, the
I can
aroma,
smell it from
everything
there.
goes with
Of course. Yeah.
Absolutely. It
It's just
smells
It's just the
amazing.
strength. I'm a little bit.
What? It's the chili.
Would you like some, monsieur?
I will try.
Shall we put some more green chili for you? Or...
Excuse me. I know that'll be fine. I guess the way it is, it'd be just perfect. Thank you so much.
It's delicious, isn't it? That?
Yeah, look at that.
So simple. But that's the. I mean, the key
But
to
that's what
your
it's about,
food.
isn't it?
I'll let you do another one. I'll let you
Yeah.
plate another one up. But the key to this is the simplicity. You know, that's
The simplicity is actually always difficult to achieve.
It's
Because
also difficult to achieve for an Indian cook.
Not for you. No,
The
but I mean,
difficult- yeah, also because, you know,
for some people they
People
find
think that we
simplicity.
use 5,000 spices.
No.
And they cannot, they get confused with cooking.
Yeah.
So the idea is to simplify recipes and make them as easy for the home cook to be able to duplicate it.
Yeah,
well,
of course.
this is what you're a master at. Cyrus Toddywaller, everybody. Done.
Thank you.
So remind us what these dishes are called.
It's called the Ginger Country Captain.
It's delicious, isn't it?
Very nice. And the balance.
Right amount of spice.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about that one chili just in the mashed potato? You
No,
can't taste
actually, I can take it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's a good job, because that's all you're going to get.
Exactly, yeah.
There we have it. Cyrus, everybody. Brilliant. Right, Daniel will be trying to top trump that dish a little bit later on. I'll be giving you a masterclass in haddock. That's coming up very shortly. But join us again after the break when we get more expert foraging advice from the one and only Alicia Vasey. I'll see you in a bit. Today's going to be special. Welcome back. Now, I'll be chatting some more to Madness legend Suggs later, and I'll be giving you some recipe ideas for haddock in this week's Little Masters. That's coming up next. But first, I'm here with the two chefs, Cyrus and Daniel, and we're about to get a lesson in seasonal produce that won't cost you a penny from top forager, Alicia Vasey. What, you're looking fabulous. Look at you.
I know, I don't get my children out.
Look at exactly. Look at you. Exactly. And what are we talking about? We've got about sort of what 3 or 4 things we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, not a lot.
And while we're talking about that, is
Not
that
a lot.
I'm going to create a little dish with one of them that we'll talk about. We'll actually both of them at the end. But where are we going to start with this time of year?
Right, well, it's slim pickings, James, round at this time of year.
Right.
Right, it's still early on, right? But what we are doing, we're starting off with a bit of colour.
Yeah.
Right, and we're starting off with magnolia. So magnolia trees all over the country are just starting to come out in bud, and then they'll come into flower, and they're absolutely fantastic. So first thing I'm going to say is, when I go through this, is when you're going to pick your magnolia flowers, wait till they come out. Don't pick them off trees, because they really look lovely, don't they? Wait till they're sort of like end of the life, stick a little branch in your carry bag, give it a shake, and all the leaves will drop off naturally before they hit the floor.
Right.
So it's just waiting for that point. So what we've got here, so it comes in 3 colours. So we've got white magnolia, pink magnolia, and purple magnolia. So these are the pink ones. And I genuinely think, right, yeah, the flavour is fantastic.
Did you know you could eat magnolia?
No, I didn't. I know them, like
Right.
you said, they make a liquor with it, but...
You make a liquor out of it in India? Right, okay.
Right, that's a nice clean one for you.
Clean one.
Okay.
Okay, so we get the dirty ones.
Yes.
I got you 2
Absolutely.
nice ones there. So there's one each for you there. So this is in the raw form, so we're thinking potential, right? We're thinking
Yeah.
potential.
'Cause I know you can eat some
off you
roses
go.
obviously,
So
but-
what I'm hoping you're going to get, just stick it in, just get it over and done with, right? Okay, yeah, I know,
Extra bitter.
ginger.
Yeah. Ginger at the back there.
How weird is that?
How weird is that? Now, they're a little bit astringent at this time of year. So
It's
you've
quite
got,
strong, isn't it?
It's very strong, really strong. So you've got that astringency, okay, which I know like leaves you a bit of an aftertaste.
It's extra bitter.
Yeah, and it's the ginger flavour that really comes through.
Good for
Did you expect that?
diabetes.
Did you expect that?
I didn't anticipate that at all in terms of flavour. Did you?
But at first, it's a big aroma.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful fragrance. You can feel, you
Yeah.
can find that in perfume almost. You know what I
and
mean?
there's that heat that comes through, and you're thinking there's like ginger things going on. I'm not surprised they use it in Indian cookery, you know, because anything with strong flavour and it's just beautiful. So what you're looking for, the white ones are a little bit less, but they counteract that astringency. So obviously to counteract astringency, so I've made a magnolia. We can use these in dessert. So to use magnolia, what I would say is like a really nice creme brulee, actually, you know, with a bit of magnolia compote at the bottom. It's dead easy to do. And a lot of people pickle magnolia leaves, all right? And then you get that ginger and it just
I guess
takes
that,
it
because
away.
that'll counteract the bitterness.
Exactly, the mellow.
I'm eating it all day.
And
It's
would
okay,
you-
no? I won't be
Yeah.
affected.
Would you do that when the
Not yet. But give it 10 minutes, you might be.
Just as they're about to fall off,
Yeah.
right? Because they don't last very long, do
No,
they?
they
Let's
open
face
up
it.
and then they start to fall.
Yeah.
So what have you done with these?
All you need to do, right, so this is basically magnolias with icing sugar and just a drop of cream. And the cream neutralises the astringency. So if you just do your chef thing just on the back of your hand, you know what I mean? Just, honestly, just a smidgen.
I'm cooking something in a minute. I'm going to get onto this in a minute because we're going to get on and use it for the next 2 ingredients that we've got over here. So
Yeah,
this is...
just so you do
What
your-
have you done with this?
Icing sugar, right, and a bit of cream. So the cream counteracts the astringency.
That's unbelievable.
Do you like that?
What is that? Is that just blended that?
Yeah. Literally.
You don't
blended up.
dry them out?
And I tell you what, it was this size.
See,
Right.
the weight change from the flour to the... It's interesting,
Wow.
eh?
Yeah, because it's about that. What can you do with it? It's all right. Me
Yeah, you
bringing
really
it
is
in.
In Indian desserts, no?
Yeah, for
Brilliant.
creme brulee.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Creme brulee. Yeah, best thing ever. Right.
Love it.
Do you like that?
That is really clever. That is, and that's just get this right. People can take these.
I know what you're doing. You want me to tell you how to do it, so you're going to do it later on.
No, just blend it
Right.
with icing sugar. That's it.
Literally. Icing sugar and a drop of cream, because the cream, you know that, right, so when I gave you the petal, you got the ginger and then you got that at the back of your throat, the astringency. The milk just takes out the astringency.
Okay.
Yeah? And that's
Neutralises it.
It totally neutralises it.
You see, Ralph likes this part of the show
Can
as
you,
well.
can you, by any chance, infuse this flour, or there's no resin coming out of
Yeah, you can, yeah. You can infuse the flour, but you do tend to get a bit of astringency. And the problem with processing the flour, like if you're going to boil it up, you lose the flavour as well.
yeah, and the
so
colour.
yeah, so you don't want the astringency to come through. So it's best for milk basings. You know, it's that
okay.
thing about it's alchemy, isn't it? How everything
I'm going to say
reacts
that
with everything.
you've been on the show for years. That is the nicest thing you've managed to bring with you and surprise me.
Now,
The other things have been nice, but that's amazing.
I would prod him.
That's amazing.
Honest to God, right? Yeah, that jar of manky-looking sauce, right, and all the things I've done.
That is amazing.
Right. Honestly, I have done my best over the years, right, to bring some nice stuff,
that's
right?
a good thing.
And I bring a jar of sauce down, and he's like, "You're all over it like a rash."
How many flowers for this small?
Literally, it was that.
For that.
So where are we going now then? We've gone from that.
Right.
Tell us about these then. Because these are what I want to use for this as well. So.
Okay, these are great. These are great. So it's elder. So when you're walking around the woods and you've got like fallen elder trees,
yeah.
All right, that's what you're looking for. These are jelly ears, okay, and they are. To be fair, they look really horrible, don't they? you don't walk around fields. You don't walk around fields and think to yourself...
not as pretty as that, are they, really? But
yeah, no, we start off with pretty stuff.
Yeah.
Right, and then we just go downhill from there,
Right.
really. So these are jelly ears, and they are a parasitic mushroom that infects elder, mainly elder. And then what they do from there is they will keep coming. So you get rain 5 days on from there. Go in and look, and they will be decaying an elder tree. So if you get, like last year, it was really wet. Really? So you can keep these going all year. Now, what you can do is you can either strip them up and put them in a stir fry. You can actually just cook them as they are.
Have I seen these in sort of Chinese supermarkets?
Yeah, there's a lot of this type of thing out in China.
In
but
Japan as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in France, I was asking you earlier, but I think it's a cousin of the pig's ears.
It is a cousin of the pig's ear is a little bit harder and a little bit more defined.
And less membrane.
Yeah, and less membrane, yeah. I mean, to be fair, they feel awful. They do. But this, right, is a genius thing, because what you can do with these, and which we've done, is you can dry them out. And sometimes they dry out on the trees, so sometimes you can go for the fresh ones, and the ones that haven't been picked before are still on the trees, but they're in the dried format. Pick those as well, because they've been naturally dried out. And this gelatinous state, once it's dried out, it's taken all the moisture out. So you've basically, this is like nature's stock cube.
Which I'm going to use for this, funny enough. Brings us perfectly onto this. In here, I've got some monkfish, I've got some clams and some mussels. So often with clams and mussels, the liquid is quite wet. So what I'm going to use is some of this to thicken it up.
All right, OK, well,
is that it?
Crack on.
Just a little sprinkle.
So that's dehydrated, basically, yeah?
Well,
it's a dehydrated...
Keep going.
I don't want to thicken too much.
Well, it's all right. It'll take a bit of a while, won't it? Because you got to. It's not going to just do it instantly. It's not.
Just dehydrate them, really.
It's not like those. It's not gravy granules.
So all you've done with this is dry it all out. And
dry it all out. But I tell you what, as well, is really good. It's got quite a neutral flavour. Yeah, it's got quite a neutral flavour to it. But if you just put a little bit of salt in it, and then just do it as a dusting, like it just really earthy thing on top of your mushrooms afterwards.
And then one final thing that we're going to talk about, which we have to talk about now as well, wild garlic.
You know what? All chefs, all this time of year, will be thinking, all right, yeah, wild garlic season. We know everything there is to know about wild garlic season. Apart from sometimes you've just got to remember a bit of the history behind it as well, because let's just think back to when the Romans invaded. All right.
Yeah.
It was mostly woodland, was this country. Yeah. So if you think of the A1 and the Great North Road, what they did was they sent people forward, planted wild garlic, and then wild garlic is quite specific because it will go 1 degree latitude, and then 2 weeks, another degree latitude, and every 2 weeks it'll start coming up. So if you're going to put a giant army going up to Scotland, you need to feed that army. What do you feed it on? There's no fields, there's no sheep or cows, right? So they plant ahead, so they planted ahead. So every 2 weeks, as the army was moving up, they get fed. There's something to feed them with.
Oh, wow, really? That's amazing.
I never knew that. He thinks he knows everything about his... That's fascinating. So this is in season now. The season lasts from when to when?
Well, this is the thing, you see. So, like, down in Cornwall, it will start... obviously, down south, it'll start, like, January, February time. And then March time, it needs more light. So after, like, you're looking around the spring equinox, everything gets cracking, right? It's not bothered about the weather. That's why it was such a reliable crop for them to do, and they could put that in the woods up along the great marching routes and then take themselves forwards up the country. So as they got further and further up, it was still coming through. So at least they had a base vegetable, because it's absolutely full of everything that you'd need.
So they would use that as a vegetable?
Yeah.
Not for flavouring season?
No. I mean, they'd have been on rations, I mean, it would have been hunting and shooting in the forest.
Like a spinach almost.
Yeah, because what you find, because people say to me, oh, listen, I've put some wild garlic in my garden and it just doesn't spread. It takes forever. And you'll find that mostly in ancient woodland where it's like carpets of the stuff. Yeah. But if you overpick it, I mean, you've just taken the leaves, never mind the roots, other things will come in and take over because it's very slow to sort of like reproduce. So you've got to be careful with it. But that's what they did. Every 2 weeks it comes up, every 2 weeks you're marching away, you've got to go to Scotland. Oh, no, well, I mean, let's face it, you're going to live off wild garlic for 6 months, but you'd be right, won't you?
Yeah. And then you can utilise the flowers as well. You can also... The great thing about this, you can dry it all out, you can blend it in with butter, it'll last throughout the rest of the year. It is absolutely magical stuff.
And also, it's got a fascinating chemical composition that will tenderise meat as well.
I feel like I'm surrounded by brain cells, and in amongst it, some wild garlic.
Correct.
That's it. Meanwhile, I've just mixed together a nice little bit of fish stew with mussels, with clams, a lovely bit of samphire, some wild garlic, and some of this amazing mixture just thicken it all up. But there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, the brilliant Alicia Vasey, everybody. Superstar, superstar. Right, Daniel will be cooking for us very shortly. He'll be serving up a show-stopping dish for us, and I'll be doing a coq au vin at the end of the show for Suggs a little bit later. But nice. I'll see you after the break for a little masterclass in haddock that you don't want to miss. And I'm going to use smoked haddock as well. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back. Now we're treating singer Suggs to a coq au vin very shortly, and chef Daniel Galmiche will be taking over the kitchen duties. That's coming up next. But first, it's time for this week's masterclass. And this week, I thought I'd take a look at one of the greatest fish you'll find in the seas around this country, and that's the humble haddock. And it is absolutely spectacular, this fish. And there's so many things you can do with it. And two of my favourite things of what I've got in front of us over here. Firstly, the Arbroath Smoky. These come from Arbroath, not to be confused with the Finnan haddock, which is very similar. It's smoked fish with the Finnan haddock, slightly bigger, but what they do with the Finnan haddock is they coal smoke it. This is hot smoked, and this is absolutely beautiful. It's got a PGI status, which means that it has to come from that area as well. Arbroath, it's absolutely amazing. The lucky people of Scotland will know this because it's absolutely delicious. One of my favourite ingredients in the world, this. And what we do is to warm this up, because you can buy these online, you can just take some newspaper, like that, over like that, wrap it all up, sit it on a tray, and sit it in the oven. Done. And that's just going to get warmed up. It's as simple as that, really. You can then turn this into... you can do omelettes and omelette Al Bennett, which I've done on the show, which is amazing as well. And another one with the smoked haddock. So I'm going to get on with the fresh haddock in a minute as well. The smoked haddock, what you want to get on here. So I'm going to poach this smoked haddock, because every time I do this, it reminds me of two things. It reminds me of my granddad, because that was the only thing he was allowed to cook in the kitchen, that and his new potatoes from the garden. Poached haddock with a little bit of milk, but also the late, great, the genius, Mr. Gary Rose. And one of his most famous dishes, as well as bread and butter pudding, used to be this dish. And it is just spectacular. It really, really is. So this is naturally smoked haddock. This is smoked haddock that's been smoked using a smoker. You can do that. You can smell it. It smells amazing. All we're going to do with that is we're just going to poach this in a little bit of the milk. So you're just going to sit that in the milk in there. Now, with this, we're going to turn this into a rare bit on the top. And the rare bit on the top uses some cheese. So we use some cheddar cheese. That's going to go in here. Now, you can use the poaching liquor from the fish as well if you want, but a little bit of milk. And then I've got some Henderson's. That's going to go in there. A touch of Tabasco. That's going to go in there. And then we've got some mustard. Now, English mustard for this one. So I'm just going to use some English mustard. You can use the powder if you want, but just a nice little bit of English mustard. Good dollop of that. It's hot and spicy as English mustard, so just be careful with it. And then using a spatula, we're then just going to melt this all together. Now, the most important bit with this, we don't want to boil it. If we boil it, it separates the fat from the cheese. So when you're doing this, just melt it gradually. That's what we want. Now, while that's happening, and we've got the fish cooking away nicely and this just melting away nicely, I can talk to you about the main haddock as well. And the majority of haddock, this, comes from sort of the northeast of the UK, caught around the northeast, all the way up to sort of Norway, around us the Russian border, that sort of area there. And the other part of it, it's only 2 areas, really. The other bit is Canada. But it's a fantastic, fantastic fish. It's kind of like the cousin to cod. But with this, it's the other cousins in the group. You've got whiting, curly, a little bit of hake. The key to this, really, when you get it really, really fresh, and that's important with all fish, of course, but when you get it really, really fresh, sometimes it can be quite pappy, as in quite soft. So what you want to do with that, and I get in the habit of this really when I'm cooking this simply with fish like this, particularly from that side of the family, not necessarily with cod, but from this, is you slightly salt it. So you just take the fish, sprinkle it with a little salt. I'll just show you, just on this bit. So you just take some table salt or some sea salt, just over the top, and you just leave that sat there, and it just firms up the flesh on the fish. So when you cook it, it doesn't break up. Now, I've got one here, and I can actually feel it sort of firmed up a little bit, and you can just take your nice little bit of fish like that. Now, if you want to season it, another way of doing it is take a little bit of black pepper and do it on the underside, skin side. I always like to leave the skin on, really. It just holds the fish nicely together. And we just take that and pop it straight in the oven. That's going to cook nicely in there, only for about 3 or 4 minutes. Meanwhile, over here, we can then turn our attention to our nice little bit of rare bit. So if I pop that over the top of a piece of fish, it's basically just going to fall off. So to hold it all together, we take a bit of flour. Now, make sure it's nicely melted like that. You just take a touch of flour, don't want too much, and we just mix that together. Now, keep the pan on the heat, and it'll actually start to thicken up. There we go, it's starting to come together now, a little bit. And that, maybe a little bit more flour, not much more than that, that's all you need. And mix this all together. Then what you want to do is you want to allow this to cool slightly. Then I add an egg yolk, or a couple of egg yolks, something like that, in there, and then let it set on a tray. And if you let it set on a tray, it goes into that. You can put it in a bowl if you wanted to, because what this ends up doing is it's a bit like sort of pastry. You can actually end up moulding it, and it's brilliant over fish like this, but it's absolutely delicious, this. It really, really is. And to simply cook it, we're just going to take our tray again, a little bit of butter over the top. You've got a lovely bit of fish, which is just cooked. Now, the reason why I don't fully cook it, you can see that, is that it's going to go under the grill and cook even more. So I'm not going to thoroughly cook it. This milk is brilliant, by the way. Keep this, because it's brilliant for omelettes and things like that. It's fantastic. Take your nice little bit of cheese. And look at that. This gives you like the ultimate cheese on toast if you wanted to. You can take this recipe and you can then put it onto a little bit of bread with a bit of chutney, which is delicious. And all we want to do is just cut this. And then you sort of you can put that bit on there. Sits on the top of there nicely. Another one. And that sits on there nicely as well. So don't forget, it's going to melt anyway, so it's going to cover it all up. But this is brilliant. It lasts in the fridge for a good 4 or 5 days. So once you've made it, you can do so many different things with it. Like I said, for breakfast, on a little bit of bacon and some chutney and some bread, it's ace. Pop it under the grill. And that's going to sit on the grill for a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, I'm just going to check our fish, which is happening. And then I'm going to do a little garnish for this. So this is nice and quick. So we're going to do these really simple. We've got Alicia on the show as well. We've got samphire you can get. You can get this from the supermarket nowadays. I'm going to make a lovely little simple little sauce. Very quick, very simple. We take some shallots. I've got some mussels over here, some clams. I've got some tomatoes. And we're going to make a really simple little garnish to go with our nice little bit of haddock. Tomatoes, like that. I've taken the skins off the tomatoes, but nice and quickly, we're going to bring all this lot together. So a hot pan on the stove, a little bit of butter, like that, into the pan. In we go with our tomatoes and our onions. That's going to go in there. In we go with our clams and our mussels. These have just been cleaned. They're going to go in. Bit of white wine. Get the pan nice and hot. There we go. Touch of cream. A little bit of that. Some samphire. So this is beautiful, nice and salty. So you just want a nice amount of that in there. It's just a really simple little garnish to go with haddock. Touch your black pepper. Pop the lid on. That's going to be about a minute. So the dish for the smoked haddock, the rare bit, which is looking really good. We take our tomatoes like this. So these are the ones that have been skinned, and you just slice this all up. Now, if you wanted to, you can serve this with a dollop of chutney. It's entirely up to you, but just sliced tomatoes like this on the plate, ready for our rare bit. Really, really simple. As I say, whenever we're doing this sort of dish, it just reminds me of the great man, Mr. Guy Rhodes, because it is just fantastic, is this. It really, really is. I had the fortunate experience of eating this at his restaurant when he was still alive. It's just magical. So salt and pepper over the top. Grab yourself a little bowl. The dressing for it is just chives and olive oil. That's it. So take some fresh chives. And then it's looking really good. Fresh chives in there. Proper olive oil. I can switch that off now because that's done. Touch of that. And then you just spoon the olive oil and the chives over the top. And then the fish, I can tell, is ready. You just take this straight out of the grill. Look at that. It's a dish that makes me smile because it's got so much history with this as well. But look at that. This on the top. It really is a classic. If there's any chefs watching this of a certain age and a certain era, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you're watching this, because it's just classic. This one over here, we're going to lift this out. That's your nice little dish finished. Haddock's perfect. We can then lift this off. This is just simple little sauce. You've got the mussels, the samphire. I mean, look how easy that is. It's so versatile, this haddock. You know, so often we think of this as just as fish and chips. Then whenever you go up north, when you ask for one of each and a bag of scraps, one of each meaning fish and chips, it will always, always be haddock, never cod. And we just lift it off like that. So we can then lift off our nice little bit of haddock over the top. Sits there with it. Beautiful bit of fish, that, slightly salted because it firms up the texture nicely. And then finally, because we can, and we've got one more dish, and we've got time, about 15 seconds, I believe, is we've got our Arbroath Smoky, which, trust me, if this was, people say, what would your last meal on earth be? This, probably. And langoustines, this. And just have it like this, in newspaper. I just think it's one of the most magical ingredients there is. And you just open this out, look at this, and you have hot Arbroath Smoky with butter, like that, and you just pick off the flesh like this, and you just eat it. It is just absolutely delicious. One of the finest ingredients, I think, in the world. And now you know how to cook it 3 ways. There you have it. Haddock done. Yay! Right, if there's anything you'd like to learn about a Little Mousecast, then do get in touch. We see if we can help out right here on the show. Time now for a quick break, but join me again in a couple of minutes where Mr. Daniel Galmiche will be here with some amazing recipes, this time for fish. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now I'll be making a sensational coq au vin for all my guests, including Suggs, very shortly. But first, I'm here with Cyrus And he's about to put his feet up and enjoy a dish from a Frenchman who's got more Michelin-starred kitchens on his CV than anybody I can think of. It's the fabulous Daniel Galmiche.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for coming as well. And looking at this is, if it's not classically French out of this, with a little twist.
With a little twist.
With a little bit of chili.
Yeah, because a classic skate wing we do with a bit of butter, parsley.
Which is one of the best
and capers,
things in the world. I love
that's Beurre Noisette.
Yeah.
Classic. But skate can take chili a little bit, can take a little bit of lime. So I decided then let's do a small twist on that. I guess this gentleman will be very happy about it.
So we're going to... You want me to do the potatoes first? So
yes, please.
I know you want to get the skate
I want
cooking.
to serve, serve a little bit, yeah.
So skate, I mean, I've got this in the restaurant and it's hugely popular because when it's in season like it is now, it is absolutely spectacular.
Yes. At the moment, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
And the key to this, I think, is to do it simplicity-wise. That's the most important thing, don't you think?
Yes.
With this?
Definitely, yeah. And as all food, when it's done simply, I think it's very nice. Yeah.
So salt and pepper. Do you flour it or not? You don't need to.
No, I don't.
And what about yourself? I mean, you do dishes like this in India?
Yeah, plenty of skate in India.
Yeah.
Goa is very popular. They make a curry called ambo tik, which means hot and sour.
Okay.
And it's cut into smaller pieces, of course, with the bone on.
I didn't realize that, you see, which is interesting.
Yeah. You get massive skate as well, you get huge ones. And for that, because it's tougher.
So the sour comes from what? Is it tamarind?
The sour comes from palm vinegar and tamarind, both.
Okay.
So tamarind is slightly sweeter, so palm vinegar and tamarind. And of course, heat from the blend of chili.
Got it, right. So seal it off a little bit. Now, the great thing about this is people often think, what am I supposed to do with it? Just simply...
Seal both sides, finish in your oven.
And it's going to take, what, no more than 4 or 5 minutes?
All together with the pan fried, about 8 minutes.
Yeah, that's it.
I think that's it, really.
Yeah, that's it. So
and
you get
this one is a little bit thick. It might demand 1 more minute. It's possible, but I think it should be.
And we've got to get a nice little colour on this first. So in with the potatoes, you want some parsley?
Bit of parsley, a touch of chili.
A touch of chili?
Wow. I mean, now we're pushing the boat, aren't we? Because as a Frenchman, I don't too much do that, but it can take it.
And then you just basically cook those, and we've got on here.
It's slightly 3/4 cook, and after that, a nut of butter, a bit of the chopped chili we're going to put there.
Which we're going to do in a minute, because I know you want to concentrate on the fish that we've got over here.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the fact that classically I do this with Beurre Noisette, which is just a little bit of nut brown butter.
And with capers.
Yeah.
A bit of...
Or you do Grenobloise, which is another one.
Grenobloise you can as well, yes, absolutely.
With fried bread and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, which I love as well, yeah.
Would you put sultanas with that, or you put raisins with sultanas with Grenobloise? Do you soak the sultanas? Or
I don't... that's a good question. Why not?
I've had it with that as well.
Yeah, we just sit and peel the little grapes.
Yeah, some people just use the sultanas.
Pick blanch, peel them, and then put them in.
Yeah, or you soak the sultanas with it.
No, I never had that.
But it tastes it really well with it, with the nut brown butter. But
what is good with that fish? It can take quite a lot of strength as well. So
you can see. I mean, it's almost halfway cooking, almost up with the fish. It's nice and
almost. Yeah, almost. Sometimes you're just dead in that corner there.
Yeah.
It can be a little bit raw, so you need to be careful.
And if you're worried about what's in it, there's just like a little cartilage in it. Really.
A bit of cartilage.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
Not a main bone.
It's not a chunky fish like that.
Yeah, you just to eat it, you sort of scrape it from top to bottom, don't you?
That's it. Because that's why it's called the wing, isn't it? Because it's more like a wing.
Look at that. It takes colour very easily.
Yeah. Now you want it in the oven, don't you? So I'll put that in the oven for you.
And we're going to do.
That's got it.
If you can chop some chili for me, it would be amazing. Quite thin.
And you want me to drain these potatoes as well, do you?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. That's those. So you're making the chili butter?
Yes. Chili and some garlic. Some garlic, of course. I need to keep the French part going by putting some garlic,
But you're training. You're classically French trained. You come from an area of Comté, yeah?
Yeah, Franche-Comté, yeah.
This is that area?
East of France, yeah. And
which side is that? Is that the Comté side or the other side? Is it Lake Annecy?
I'm more on the side of the Vosges mountain.
Okay, the other side.
The other side, yes. which one day, funny enough, I was talking to Raymond Blanc, and he said to me, I don't know the speciality of your region. I said, you live in the same region. He said, but your side, I don't know.
It's only a hill.
It was quite interesting. And
but I mean, like I said, amazing restaurants that you've worked in. I mean, sadly, Le Gavroche closed recently as well. You worked there.
Oh, I mean, when it did close, it did kind of feel really strange to me.
Yeah.
Because I was a really young boy when I was in London. That's what I was talking about earlier.
So you must have been there when Albert was behind the stove.
Oh my God, yes. Oof.
Right.
And you didn't see him coming quite a lot of times. So
this was before the poking of the stick, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. Because I used to get the stick in the ribs a few times.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you had that too. Oh,
yeah, I got that. Yeah.
Well, great. I'm not the only one.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're just going to blitz that up. Is a little bit of garlic in there? You've got the garlic in there.
Little bit of garlic. Yeah.
Okay. So garlic, lime.
Sorry, am I doing
on button? There you go.
That's good.
That's kind of it, really. I'll give you a spatula. Here you go.
I use a spoon there. Merci, monsieur.
There you go. So the great thing about this butter as well, you can actually make it and then you could freeze it if you wanted to.
Yes. Yeah, like you do for Bermet d'Hotel or you do for Montpellier butter, which is another butter which is made with anchovy, which is absolutely superb as well.
Now, do you want me to fry the potatoes, but not in that butter, just in some normal butter?
Just a normal bit of butter.
Okay.
And a little bit of the lovely chili you just made there, and a touch of parsley.
Okay.
And that's all. And this one.
Just for a little bit of colour, these potatoes that are going in here as well.
Yes, that's it.
So what took you to Scotland then? Because Scotland was one of the first catalysts. You ended up getting a Michelin star in a hotel up there. So what took you to Scotland?
Well, actually, a lot of people don't know that, but I came in UK by default. In a sense, when I was hoping to go to
A lot of Frenchmen say that to me.
No, because I was hoping to go to Sweden. Right. And when I applied for my visa to go to Sweden as a young guy, they stopped taking foreign people. I don't know why. It's fell on me, but no, it's because
that's what they told you.
Because after the Kosovo wars, they had a lot of immigrants from Yugoslavia and all this, and after they stopped. And so by default, I came here, and I had an interview in Paris in a restaurant called Coco de Mer, which is a restaurant from Seychelles, who was a cousin of the guy I was going to work with. And my interview was in Paris to go to Scotland for my first head chef position. And I ended up in Scotland, and that's where we have our first Michelin star. And at that time, I was only 18 in UK.
Yeah, there
was 6 in Scotland and 18 in England, 23 altogether, that's all. Yeah. So we put that in here.
So I've got some chili, I've got some parsley which I'm chopping up as well.
That chili there a little bit. Yeah.
And then the skate is that's how quick it is. It's cooked. That's now ready. You can tell that if you just press this, just starts to break a little bit. You can see.
Be just perfect.
It's perfect.
And a little bit of parsley in here.
There you go.
Very freshly done. Okay. And now we're going to use that and that. And we're going to melt that.
Pan's hot, chef. So
that's why I had the cloth. Yeah. And we're going to
just finish it off in the butter.
Finish it. Yeah.
So if people don't have a food processor at home, how would they make the butter?
Well, you need to do it by hand, the classic way, or with a spatula in a bowl.
I mean, that looks beautiful, though. Look at that.
Yeah, and that's what you want as well. It's just all those colours to remain on the top there. You don't want it to overdo it. And that's it. That's all.
You're not bad at this, chef, are you, really?
Well,
should take this up
for a living.
A bit of practice
there, I think.
Eh?
There's been a bit of practice.
Bit of practice. I think you'll get there in the end, you know.
But as you know, as you all know, God, when we cook, if we are not gourmand ourselves, we cannot cook well, do we?
Of course not.
Yeah, but you managed to cook Michelin star food, but you managed to brilliant simple food, and that's the key to it. Is that you love each one as much.
Yes.
Look at that.
But everything, James, always takes me back to my classic.
Yeah.
Because it's the way my mum used to cook, my great aunt used to cook.
Yeah.
But that's the reason I use always recipe for my book, because it's all classic.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And I love it because you're not frightened of butter. Neither of you are frightened of butter.
Frightened of butter? No, there's no life without butter.
Exactly.
Well, so, you're telling that to people who love butter.
And it's interesting you put the chili in while it cooks as well. A little bit of spice while it's cooking.
Yeah.
And it's great because the skate will take so many great flavours, like I said, from capers to anchovy. It takes so many amazing
It can take
flavours.
so much stuff. Yeah. Can take so much stuff like that. Yeah.
Voila.
So give us the name of this dish.
Oh, it's a pan-roasted skate wing with a chili, garlic, and lemon butter, and just buttered potatoes.
I told you it was good. You've just witnessed it. Daniel Galmiche, everybody. Right, bon appetit, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Just so happens there's a portion for me and you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we've done
Exactly.
portion then.
Just to show how you eat it, you just drag it away like that, and it's just, that's it. And you see the little bit of cartilage in there as well, but it's one of the...
There's a bit of heat in there. Just the slightest.
Yeah.
It's so good when it's in season like
Wow. I mean, I
Fantastic.
think people don't do enough of this kind of fish. And people forget already the season is quite short because it's highly protected fish now as well.
Yeah.
Not this variety, I think, but...
You turn it over and you've got the same thing the other side. But
I know, and that's what it's good about because there's always more butter. Happy?
it's very clever, isn't it? Simple.
Fantastic. Very happy. Not just happy.
Simple food, but just super, super tasty. There we go.
Simple food for the
Daniel
soul.
Galmiche, everybody.
Thank you.
Right, we've still got time for one more final course, so join us again after the break when I'll be rusting up a classic coq au vin with his help for all my guests, including Suggs. I'll see you after the break. Welcome back, sadly, to the last part of the show. But I'm back in the kitchen with all my guests, Daniel, Cyrus, Alicia, and of course, Suggs. So, reading through the plethora of things that you love as well in terms of food, classic French cooking.
Yes.
Coq au vin.
I like a stew. The only thing I've actually ever made in my life is a pheasant stew, but coq au vin is one of the things I love most.
Well, that's what we're
Having
going to
spent
do.
a bit of time in France. And partly because you're a hero, I see his name up there.
Exactly, and partly because I've got a multi-Michelin star French chef, so
Thank you very
and
much.
I might as well get him to do it. Why have a dog and bark yourself? Or Le Champ.
Yes.
There you go. Right. So we're just going to take our chicken. I'm going to get to a stage where I'm going to show you this bit. So the chicken has been marinated in wine overnight, and I'm going to basically get to that stage. So I like to dust it with the flour, but you can do this several different ways. You can seal it, then add the flour. Okay?
Yes, correct. You can do both.
Use this
Flour first.
So there's a little bit of flour over there, plenty of butter. You're going to seal that in there as well. The chicken is form as this. You need to break the chicken down. It's very, very straightforward. What you do is you take a knife, you cut it through here, through that bit, and that's the legs and the thighs off. Then you find the little knuckle, that's that bit off, and then cut that bit through there, all the way through. This is French style of cutting it up rather than trimming it up fancily. We just get to that, and then all you do is you take this bit of the carcass off of here, cut this through, and then we're going to cut this into 4 pieces, like that. So take this off, use this for stocks and sauces and bits and pieces.
So are there different derivations in the different provinces of France?
Well, it's just some household will put the flour after the chicken is roasted, and some of them will put flour before you roast them.
But traditionally, it doesn't have to be...
Traditionally, it's made with a rooster.
Rooster.
Sorry.
But it doesn't have to be red wine, does it? It could be red or white.
Well, in a Jura, it's white. That's correct.
What?
Yeah,
It
white
could be
wine.
red or white wine.
Yeah, in a Jura, when they deglace, because it's a speciality of the Jura, the poulet au vin jaune,
Yeah.
which they use the wine from the Jura, but they use the white wine from the Jura instead.
So that all gets put into there, and then all we do is we get a nice bottle of red wine, because we're going to use this for the sauce as well.
I'm not going to use your stuff then.
No, that's going to go
Very serious. Very serious.
That's going to go in there, and we pour the red wine over the top like that. That's going to sit over there, and we just leave that to marinate overnight. And that's what we have in this pan over there, which we're going to seal off. Now, while we're doing that, gets left in the fridge overnight. And then I'm going to wash my hands because I'm going to pick something up very, very special for those people just waking up. 40 years this gentleman has been at the top of his game in the band.
I've seen
It's taken 7 years. You've actually seen this chap.
77, 78. when I used to watch people on the ground playing, including Elvis Costello and all these people.
This was where, in central London?
When I was in Lower Slough Street in a garage.
One of the
near
few places that liked us for France.
You told me, yeah, you went in the 70s, you went to see him.
Yeah, 77, 78.
Well, amazing, isn't it, for a 45-year-old man to remember back then?
You're very kind. I'm glad, despite my grey hair.
So this currently is your 13th album, this one. And how special it is. We listened to it a little bit earlier.
Thank you very much, James.
This must be... you must be chuffed to bits with it.
I am. I think it's the best stuff we've ever done. Of course you do. Everything new you do is the best. But you've been very kind and you're embarrassing me slightly now.
What's the story with the Helen Mirren thing? Where does that come in? Because that's something to do with the album. Where does that come in?
Oh, God, yeah. So, yeah, I've got an house in Italy, all right? Face up, yeah, that all pretentious two-bob North Londoners. I've got a place in the Mediterranean. And I just discovered that down the road from my house, which is in Puglia in southern Italy, was Helen Mirren, and through a friend of a friend, I got to know her. And it was quite funny because it was when she was doing the film The Queen, and I was sitting on the beach, and I knew she was coming round to meet us. And I said to my mates, look, just don't freak out, the Queen's coming round the corner. And just then Helen Mirren came round and two of my mates literally fell off their deck chairs.
And she was... Yeah.
No, she's a lovely person, and I asked her just to read out some of the lyrics of our new album for a sort of promo. And you never know, but she's always up for it and funny, you know, and hilarious. Yeah.
That's legend. So, like yourself, look, we're going to...
some lard on, I can see, yeah.
That can go straight in, Chef.
Very good colour.
Straight in, get it in.
All in.
Yeah, get it in, no messing around.
Very good colour.
So that all goes in. The great thing about this, you can fry the lardons if you want, but this is going to go in there. I'll bring this all over. But your lardons go in. Now, you can do this a variety of different ways. I've got the little bucagani, which is basically just parsley stalks, bay leaf, some fresh thyme. That's going to sit in there. And then I like to put the mushrooms straight in. You use small white mushrooms in France?
Yeah.
So I just...
small one.
He looks a little bit...
Yeah, he starts to twitch when I did that. He wanted to chop them all up.
I did. It's true. I did. Because I saw the size compared to the one we use. I said,
you think this is bad? I was going to get Cyrus to do this bit with me and just leave you sat there.
Go and get some from the garden.
That would have really winding you up, wouldn't it? It's like it'd have been proper twitching. So what you do then is you cover it over. If you want to cover it over, you put it in the oven. I like to cook it in the oven or...
Oven.
Oven.
Yeah, absolutely.
So oven for an hour and probably an hour and 15 minutes, something like that. And what you end up with is your classic, what I class as brasserie coq au vin.
Absolutely.
Coq au vin that's not been messed around by chefs and deconstructed and put back together and all manner of different sort of stuff like that.
It shouldn't.
So, sorry?
Why would you deconstruct a coq au vin?
Trust me, chefs...
A lot of people do it.
Chefs do it, don't they? They deconstruct it and mess around with it like that as well. But as well as the album, we've got to touch on the tour because, you love playing live anyway, and there's no better band, I think, than live anyway. But you...
James, I love you. Thank you for remembering why I'm on this programme. Apart from eating coq au vin.
That's why I've been doing this for about 30 years.
I know you have.
So, but tell us about
what's good is my promotional person over there said, you're going on tour in March. I said, no, that's America, mate. No. No, we're actually going on tour in June. Thank you very much.
Exactly.
And we're starting in Southampton, just down the road, and I don't know Portsmouth and all that. So we're on tour for about 2 or 3 months, doing festivals, race courses and all sorts. And it's tremendous that people still want to come and see this old shower, you know.
Well, it's great because...
Are you doing Newbury races as well?
Yeah.
No, because I'm there. That's why I'm asking.
Are you there? Where you can exactly. Look, we're just going to...
They'll tell you which ones we're at.
Are we at Newbury?
Newbury. Are we at Newbury?
You're all over the UK.
Yeah,
but...
What race?
Okay. Are you at Newbury races? He said I'm all over the UK.
Yeah, we won't see him again.
Okay.
Right, do you want to season that, Chef?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Season it with salt and pepper. So you like to...
Put some in here.
You do this with mashed... I do this with mashed potato bits. You do this...
Hang on, only an hour and a half? That hasn't been overnight or anything?
No. It's been overnight in the wine and everything, but...
Yeah.
And then you got proper mashed potato.
Yeah, we need a touch of seasoning in here.
Touch of salt and pepper in there. There you go. I'll let you chefy season it up. Go on then. But I actually think...
Sometimes it is too salty. Sometimes I've had
You
coq au
blame
vin.
the chef.
Yes, because the pancetta, you call that.
The pancetta, you've added too
Poitrine
much salt
fumée is too
after.
salty.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason. And he still seasoned the chicken
Oh,
as well.
good.
Check it, it's sugs. Check it, it's sugs. Take another
yeah,
taste. I don't want it
flipping
to.
expert.
Don't want it too
He
salty.
couldn't cook with
I
salt.
don't
I don't know what he's on about.
Yeah, it's enough.
It's happy with that?
Yeah,
There
it's
you
good.
go. And then we just lift this off.
Yeah.
And I actually think when people do this and deconstruct it, they try and get the sauce too thick.
It shouldn't be.
I think you just got to you have it
Coq au vin,
nice.
when it's so reduced, it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have it nice and simple like that.
Oh,
Happy with that?
Yes.
And there we have it.
it's a hefty
A
portion.
classic,
Yeah, well, that's
classic
perfect.
portion.
Voilà, that's
Classic,
a proper
classic.
brasserie dish.
brasserie coq au vin.
That's it.
Easy as that. Cooked by a Frenchman and me.
What can you say?
Done. There you go. Right, bon appetit. You get to dive into
mate.
that one,
Oh,
that one.
crikey.
Cyrus, I'm going to portion you up another one over here.
I know, we got the whole lot.
So there we go. So we're going to put, we'll put another bit in there, and we'll get another bit for Cyrus over here. So get a little bit of that, but dive into that.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm getting up for this one.
Classic,
Good.
classic, 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 classic.
Oh my God, that is
Classic. Thank
Happy
you.
with that?
Happy?
Tasty?
just the right amount.
can it
As
not
you
be
say,
happy
not
with
too thick and gluten, not too salty.
Yeah, because that's what I was saying. People forgot that we use the juice to mix with the marsh generally. That's why we don't reduce it too much. And it doesn't
just
need
gets
to.
right involved. What are
Raspberry
you saying
grill.
about mustard then? No?
Do you serve it with mustard?
No.
No, you wouldn't. No.
Ah, no.
But sometimes, depending on the region, we serve it as well with tagliatelle. You know, the
That is.
That's delicious.
Love food like that. Proper
That's
French recipe.
delicious, mate.
That's it. Sadly, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you very much for watching.
Sensational.
Thank you to Gil down in Cornwall for that amazing cheese earlier. Alicia, of course, Cyrus, Daniel, and the brilliant Suggs. We'll see you back at the same time next Saturday when we got recipes from chefs Emily Scott, Romy Gill, barman Merlin Griffiths will be here, and I'll be joined in the house by writer and comedian David Baddiel. Until then, have a great weekend. Thanks for joining me at my place. I'll see you next time at my house. Bye for now.